I'm your host, Jasmine Thomas Bridges, and you guys, we are in for a healing episode. So, this episode is all about the 20s. So, if you are in your 20s and you're listening to this, even if you're in your 30s or 40s, this still can apply, but these are things that I want to share with my 20 somethings that you may be currently going through, or maybe you are going to go through when it comes to losing friendships. And I don't think that friendship breakups get talked about enough. I don't think that it's shared as it's something that's hurtful or hard, but it's to me can be almost similar to a relationship breakup. And I want to share with you how to let go, when you need to cut people off, and also just generally forgiving, because that's something you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. And I want you to be in the best place and situation to be able to do these things and have the greatest amount of success. So, this first segment is going to cover a couple things, and then when we have our intermittent break, we're going to cover some more pieces as well. The first thing is, I need you to understand that you're probably going to lose friends. I hate to say that, but it's kind of normal. What happens is we grow apart. And I want to share with you, like, if you are, in your early 20s and you still have some of your friends from high school, just know that it's very rare to keep those same friends from high school all the way throughout your life. It's just, that's kind of abnormal, right? And the reason why it's abnormal is because we all grow. And if you still, like, if you're 70 and you still have the same friends and you hang out with them like since y'all were children, sometimes I wonder, did you guys grow? And if you did, maybe y'all grew on the same like way, and that's good. But that's not common, right? And I just want you all to be aware that the growth you experience is going to be different from others. So I know for me, I'm still growing and I'm in my 30s. I literally feel like I change all the time. Now, there are some friends that I have, not many, some friends that I have that are like not the best in terms of like we've been friends, forever, haven't had any issues. Like it's not a lot of those friends that I have, but there are a few. However, I understand that as I continue to level up and have growth, that it's going to only widen the gap. And one of my friends shared this. I love her so much. She is the Saturation Princess on YouTube. And she said it's called the Great Divide. That's what she calls it. And basically, she's saying that it's people like, if you're friends with someone and all of a sudden it just seems like everyone gets out of the way and everyone is living their own separate lives and things aren't the same. And so that's basically what's going to happen in your life. And I want to prepare you best for this. And I also want to ask you, are you afraid to grow? How you know you're afraid to grow is when you find yourself always holding on to these toxic friends that are not propelling you forward. Some people I know don't want to be alone. I know that's a hard thing. Like, and that's why we hold on to people longer than we need to, because we don't know how to stand on our own. And I think that's something worth exploring. So I know me, even though I have a sister, I still have only child syndrome, and my sister does as well, because we have such like a huge age gap. So for us, it's easier to kind of like be alone. Like we don't mind if we have to like move on or do things a little different. That's fine. But others really struggle with that. So I understand why, sometimes we stay in the same friendships and we don't want to grow because we don't want to leave people behind. That is one of the biggest mistakes that we can make, is being afraid of leaving people behind. But if they want to grow with you, they will. And if they don't, that means they probably weren't meant to go along with you on the journey. And so you have to be willing to do it anyway. And I also want you to ask yourself, if you're friends with someone, why are you their friend? That's something to journal. Like, why do you stay in this friendship? What are you getting from this friendship, right? Because there are a lot of things we can get from friendships, which is like that emotional support, mental. Is it like the camaraderie, when we go out and we do things together? Because you're going to have friends for different reasons and different seasons. And you need to be able to answer that. And when you get your answer, it's like, okay, is this good enough for me? Is this going to take me to the next level in my life? Like, is this friendship good, solid ground for growth? And if your answer is no, then you need to move on. And when I'm talking about friendships, I want to be clear, because I also recognize people don't have the same definition of a friend. So do I have a lot of associates? Absolutely. Do I have a lot of people that, I meet, I talk to, might go out with, grab drinks or dinner? Absolutely. Like, that's everything. But as far as people that I call a friend, I don't have as many, because I keep my circle tight, right? And because I do that, it is going to look different in terms of the way that we move about in our relationships and what we do. So that's just a way to really break down your friendships and understand what they are. What are they doing for you? What are they not doing for you, right? And it's not about pointing the finger and saying this person is bad or anything like that. It's about you evaluating, is keeping this person in my life helping me? I also want you to think about for yourself, are you helping others? Are you a value added person in their life too? And when I say value, it's not just about money or status. I think we have to focus in on who you are as a person. Do you show up for that friend when they are in need, right? Do you encourage them? Are you loving towards them? Are you a kind person? Those are the things that really matter in friendships, and some things we've kind of gotten away from, I've noticed. Like, some people feel like they're friends with someone just because, they're together all the time, and that's not necessarily a friendship. So, at least in my definition, I would encourage you to decide, like, what is friendship for you? Okay. And that's just kind of like the basics and foundation that I think every person should have. I do this actually every year, where I write down every person that I consider a friend. And then I share why I think that they are a friend and why they're still in my life, why I love them. And I actually share this with them, and they really love and appreciate that. I also want to touch on a couple things. So let's say you write this list of, hey, these are the friends and people that I want to keep in my life. They are so great for me. Now we need to talk about when it's time to let go. Sometimes we don't even know it's time to let go. And unfortunately, I have learned, and I have seen this from other people, when we don't know how or when to let go of friendships, or putting people in different categories, and I talk about this in another episode, but I'll touch on it in just a moment. When we don't know how to do these things, there's like a blow up. And it sucks, because we don't want your friendships to turn into a blow up. And when I say a blow up, it's like these things have been going on for so long that, you and your friend may argue or, you know, y'all are both upset and it's like unreconcilable, right? And there is a sign for you when you know it is time to let go before it even gets to that point. And you have to listen to your intuition. So that way it doesn't lead to these big things. Now, when you let go, you don't have to tell the person, I'm done with you. You don't have to do all that. It's not necessary. What I have learned, and I actually picked this up from my spouse, it was so helpful and it has given me so much peace. When it's time for me to let go, just pull my energy back. That means I may not call. I may not text because I'm one of those friends. I'm a huge communicator. I'm emo, right? You know, and because of that, that's how I build connections with people. So maybe I just don't say anything. That lets me know, okay, pull back. Maybe I lower my expectations for that person and I put them in a different category. So an example of that is if I know one of my friends is just really not good at checking in or calling back, I'll say something to them about it because I think we have to share like our needs in friendships. I know people do it more so in relationships, but friendships, we need to share that too and not feel bad about it or feel that we're being needy. It's just like sometimes you have to learn how to be a friend and how to mesh into that friendship. But you share that. Let's say I shared it and that person still didn't check in or whatever. Cool, then I'm not checking in either. And that's that. And it doesn't have to be a blowout. It doesn't have to mean you guys aren't friends anymore or that you know, don't like them. It is what it is. Because I always wanted to talk things out to solve problems because I felt like that was the mature thing to do in my 20s. Everybody's not that mature is what I've learned. And it backfired on me so many times because I was trying to talk things out and understand why they were doing something that I might not have liked, and to see like, hey, am I doing something wrong? Is that the reason why? And then it would turn into them like yelling or being like, oh, well, you know, you said this and you said that. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Where is this coming from? You know, so I've just learned to shift my energy. So I do want to tell you signs that you know you need to let go of a friendship. Your peace is being disturbed. You know when your peace is being disturbed, you know when your energy feels like it's being pulled on, it doesn't feel fun anymore. You feel like maybe it's drama or they're just not really in the vibe with you anymore. You're not aligned as much. You also will know as well when to let go if you've extended grace. Like, let's say, you know, they've messed up a few times, they made mistakes, maybe you even made mistakes and had to ask for, you know, forgiveness. But if you keep extending grace and they continue to do these things over and over and over, and you've already shared with them how this affects you, then they don't care. And that doesn't mean, it doesn't have to mean anything bad. You're like, yeah, it's hurtful if this person says they're your friend and they just don't give a crap. It is, you know, but what I have learned is just because that person doesn't care to meet my needs doesn't mean that my needs are not valuable. Doesn't mean that I don't deserve those things, right? And it also doesn't mean I'm not going to get those things. And I may not have that type of friendship with that person, but I can have that type of friendship with another person. And if I already have great friends that are doing those things for me, then I should be thankful. And that just really helped me, because what I have found is that, you know, some people are people. And what I mean by that is that we are all flawed and we have things that we all can work on. And there are some people that are going to continue to work on those things and want to grow with you and get through that. And there are others that aren't. And I also like want you guys to know this too, especially as you age, the way your friendships look change. So maybe when you were in college, You hung out with these friends every day. It was so fun. You got out of college. Then you start to drift a little bit, but then you could always come back because, you know, you have the homecoming games, you have the festivities, we see each other. And then let's say, you know, later on down the line, you get married, you have kids. It's like, oh, I don't really have as much time. I might see you once a year. We can talk on the phone. You know, let's FaceTime. But here's the thing, even as those friendships change in the dynamics of you all's lives, if it's a true friendship, they are going to show up for you. And showing up doesn't always mean, you know, I'm front and center all the time. Showing up can mean they let you know they care. They respond or they apologize, you know, when something happens, right? This isn't about perfection. This is about progress and evolution, because we're all going to experience those shifts. And I want to prepare those of you that are in your early 20s. You'll see those shifts a lot as you go into your later 20s. And, you know, you just really have to give yourself grace, give the other person grace, but also know that, like, we all play a part in this, and there's no one that's the bad guy or the villain. You just have to see, who am I a priority for and who am I not? And it doesn't mean they don't love or they don't care about you. It could just mean you're not a priority for them, and you just need to not make them a priority, you know? And then sometimes it's just, them people ain't right for your life right now. Maybe they will be later on, you never know, but it's not something to take personally for yourself. Now, I do want to share in the next segment what you need to do, especially when cutting people off is like required. I'm going to talk more deeply into that, and also how to forgive in a way that is healthy and going to really allow you to have the grace and strength to get through. So make sure you guys stay tuned for this part. If you are on YouTube, I will be back delivering the rest of this segment. For those of you watching in on the radio or TV station, it will be coming right up. You do not want to miss this there.